Look, man, everyone knows if the kids is acting up, you put them to bed early. You put them to bed early, right? It goes without saying. Steph with the earliest night. Now, people are going to try to surpass that, right? You're going to have people probably someone in the first half of a game is going to, these football players, they get excited, right? But that was the official earliest night we have ever seen. And I just got done this morning resending the memo to the rest of the league. Like, hey, don't troll the chef. Don't troll the chef. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, I'm assuming most of you know, PJ Washington, when we took that loss in Dallas a week or so ago, didn't play. PJ didn't play. He was in street clothes, but was mocking the night, leaving the arena or leaving the floor, and it went viral. Well, the Petty King is going to take note of that, right? But let's be honest. Yesterday afternoon's beatdown was coming regardless. On Andre Iguodala getting his jersey brought into the rafters, you can't lose that game. On top of the way we lost the last match of Dallas, then you add the fact of how close we are in the standings, and it was the perfect storm for, what does Draymond say? BTA? I'll put it to you like that on YouTube, right? Now, I'm not going to lie, when the game started, it was, these early starts for these athletes, they're such creatures of habit. You see it in the NFL a lot with the odds, right? Like when a West Coast team goes east, that first quarter is ugly. AAU, those tournaments in the morning don't even show up to the first game, right? But so maybe there was some of that, right? But the arena, I don't know how you don't fill up the arena or you don't get to the game on time on a Sunday afternoon game, but the arena wasn't that full, right? And Dallas comes out and we just didn't look ready to play for like the first 3 minutes of the game. And I'm like, you can't be serious right now. And I had brought it up in today's breakdown. We all understand that Chase Center is never going to be Oracle. There's no way to recreate that environment and that vibe. We understand that. And then you talk about pricing out the casual, the true fan is what a lot of people would say, right? However, winning cures all, as we know. And to be fair to the Bay and the local fans that can go to these games, for the last year and a half or so, why would you want to? They haven't been putting out a good product up until, about a week ago. And so I guess the arena eventually filled up and you heard it as loud as it's gotten maybe in that arena since the 22 finals run. That was like the last time we really had a home court advantage. And my other point was also that I think it may have to do with some of these slow starts, especially with an older team like the Warriors are. Like if the game starts and the crowd is filled and buzzing and you get energy from the start, that really helps jumpstart. And the crowd's waiting for the Warriors, and sometimes the Warriors are waiting for the crowd, and hopefully that can change if they keep winning. Kerr takes a quick timeout, and it was over from there, right? That was quite a thorough beatdown. You don't usually see those in the NBA anymore, right? Even when a team gets up 20-30, 6 minutes left to go, it's a 10, 12-point game. That's just how the NBA works now, but that wasn't happening yesterday. I got to say, seeing all this sideline footage of Jimmy interacting with Steph and Draymond, and there was a clip of Jimmy and Steph going over like screen coverages or whatever, it damn near brought a tear to my eye, man. Like it was like, yo, to just see how much more dialed in and hungry they are. And that's my question to you. Who do you think is more charged up and activated from this move, Steph or Draymond? Because I think it might be Draymond. Like Steph, like don't get me, I take nothing away from his performance. He's in his bag. He's moving different. Like they both are. The entire team is, including the coaching staff, right? But Draymond, in watching, to me, his signature, I know we talk about a roaming, versatile defender and, being able to guard multiple positions, but his signature, like mini skill that he does defensively is his closeouts. He is probably the greatest shot contester under 6'10" that the game has ever seen. And we know he's got like a 7'2" wingspan, right? You need the length to do that type of stuff and be effective at it. But what puts it over the top is the timing. It's the timing of Draymond's contests. When he's locked in, it's like a beat late and he gets there right on the release. And that is so disruptive to a shooter. Like as a shooter, you'd almost have him there a beat early and then you can focus over the top, right? But he gets there right on the release, and it's so disruptive. And I don't know if there's not a stat for this, right? But if there was, he would absolutely lead the league in creating airballed threes or airballed jump shots. Sometimes he gets a piece, right? We know that. And listen, Wemby hopefully will catch up in that area, but that doesn't count in a way, right? Like when you're Wemby size, yes, you're going to be. When you're AD's, yes. Draymond at 6'6", we get, it's insane, his closeout ability. And that to me is kind of his signature play. But then offensively, you see him getting downhill. I think Draymond has a little more in the bag, foul line and in, than we think, but it's got to be plan A. And that's what we're seeing him adapt to, right? Like when he gets the ball at the nail and his first thought is, all right, let me score this. He's got some touch, right? He knows how to use his body. Like he's got a little bag in there. It's just when it's like plan B or C, that's when it gets ugly or when it's stagnant. And so, Draymond, they're both feeding off it. You don't have to choose, but I think Draymond might even be the most charged up. But obviously, look, Dallas is not at full strength. They don't have a center healthy. But that same team beat us again, 10 days ago? It was like a week ago, right? In Dallas. And they're just rolling out all these wings and then trying to lean on Kyrie and Klay. And would Kai go for 42 on us? Something crazy in that game. And so obviously the game plan was to slow Kyrie down, and they did a great job. It started with Pods not allowing Kyrie to dance. Don't let him lead the dance. So Pods understood, if I try to distance manage and stay in front of him and let him get into his bag, he's going to get into a rhythm and cook. I'm just going to smother him. I'm just going to guard him as tight as possible, force him downhill where he was met with multiple bodies at the rim, right? I think the other aspect that they did, they played quite a bit of zone. And, sometimes zone isn't necessarily to get stops. It's to disrupt rhythm or take away things that you don't want happening. So I thought some of the zone was to just get the ball out of Kyrie's hands. Because, you know what I mean? They kind of zone up to his side, strong side on the ball. And again, they're role players. They ended up getting shots out of it. But the goal was to get the ball out of Kyrie's hands. But most importantly, what made me most excited about the game plan and strategy, because again, the coaching staff is reinvigorated. Where's Stackhouse been? For the first time since the first month of the season, since Jimmy's got here, I've seen Stack up and barking on the bench, right? But the other part was making him play defense and attacking him. You saw Draymond early a couple of times kind of pass, had a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2, and sure enough, he tries to make the extra pass. He drops one back to Steph, right? But then he gets downhill and he sees Kyrie in front of him. And you could see him make the conscious effort, no, let me draw this foul. Let me draw this foul. And I'm like, okay, good. I like that, right? A couple possessions later, Looney rim runs, seals Kyrie and calls for the ball. Steph's going to lob that thing up there from, 50 feet away. And I was like, okay, so this is actually part of the game plan. So Kyrie has 2 first quarter fouls. We're shifting in and out of zones. Pods is basically forcing him downhill, funneling him to the help where Jimmy, Draymond, and there was always 2 bodies at the rim for him. And so for the first time in a long time, I saw Kyrie couldn't find a rhythm, right? He was a little sped up. He was giving him different looks. And so that was a great game plan. And credit to the staff and the team for executing it. Let's talk a little more about Pods overall, though. And you saw him and Jimmy celebrate there. He almost gave him a piggyback ride. I'm just, that was borderline crazy, but they kept it in control, right? No, but it was all love, and it's just exciting to see because Pods and Jimmy are cut from the same cloth basketball-wise, right? They're brash, in your face, cocky, borderline confident. I'm tougher than you, and I'm going to play harder than you. So it's no surprise that they're vibing, right? And all of a sudden, when I said he was in the Matrix, really it means the game is slowing down for him. And I had talked about him leaving the release. Don't snake bite your 3-ball, leave it. And now you're just seeing him leave it confidently every time. And right now, Pods looks like an elite role player. And I don't mean that as a backhanded compliment. He looks like the type of player when you're a contender that puts you over the top. Now, hear what I'm saying. He's not the main guys. He's not the big 3. He's not the main guys, but he's one of those role players when you're in a playoff series where you're like, dude, we didn't account for him. He's killing us. He had 13 boards last night. And now that the offense is coming along, the confidence is building, the vibes are up. Hey, I'm glad that all y'all can hop back on the pods train because I know you are. You know who I'm talking to. No, it was like half a Dub Nation. It was like half a Dub Nation. So that there's not a whole lot of basketball to talk about this one, right? No run really came. I did want to speak on Klay a little bit here. Because look, hopefully not too soon, but in a couple years, he'll be back having his jerseys raised in the rafter, right? In a statue at some point, right? So I will always have love for Klay. But you know what made Klay, what one of the things I love so much about him in his prime, he was essentially a guard version of Tim Duncan in temperament. Like everyone knew he was a fiery competitor, but he was just icy, right? He didn't show you much, right? He just was this even keeled. You knew the fire was there, but he kept it contained. And then post injury, we've seen this different version of Klay, and we all understand why. And you can talk about the physical recovering from it and how you probably aren't ever. He still has that kind of like unbalanced gait, but he hasn't recovered emotionally from the injuries in having his prime robbed from him. Right? That he gets emotional. And I get it. To be fair, look, you know he's going to be up against the Warriors. I get that. But if you tune into Dallas, like this is kind of a common occurrence for Klay. And it was post-injury even with the Warriors. He gets too emotional, right? And look, Draymond, Pat Bev. I mean, you come to Baron Davis. I love you. Like when Baron would get like more emotionally fired up and mad, you got good Baron Davis, right? There are certain players that play better when they're edgy and mad. Hence why Draymond is always, his temper's so short because he knows he's going to play better. He's like, I'll get mad about anything, right? There's a reason why Klay was such a stoic killer in his prime because he performs better that way. And so to see him not, just kind of be on edge with his emotions game to game, I hate to see it because I think it hurts his game. Couldn't have felt good to have Pods outplay him in front of all the old Warriors alum and all that were there. But yeah, I understand people are still going to be skeptical of this. What are we, 5-1 or something like that? And you say, well, look at the opponent. Look at the opponent. We haven't really played any power teams yet. And I get it. It's true. But what are your eyes telling you right now? How does it feel? It feels like we're back. Now, are we true contenders? No. But it feels so much different that I think that there should be plenty of reason for optimism moving forward as far as this just being different. Us getting into the playoffs and having a shot, especially with the experience and the juice of what this team is, because the role players, they fit the Jimmy dynamic, the Jimmy vibe. Moody, Pods, and when Kuminga gets back, right, these guys are all going to be down for this type of energy night in and night out. And so that's exciting, man. And I just, there's no denying it. I didn't see it coming. It's a shock. And it's just, I think it's welcome for all of us. Now, y'all got to do your job and get to the arena. I get the prices, but if you can, what did the commercial used to be? It's a great timeout. It's a great timeout to check the Warriors right now, right? But hopefully the home crowd can give us a boost here down the stretch as well, because that used to be a huge advantage. Before I give my thoughts on Andre, Underdog, you know the deal. You get a 50% bonus on your first deposit up to $1,000. You can use the code Alchemy. I've been handing out my picks. I missed my last two. I had the Gee rebounds. I'm still, it is what it is. You ain't going to win them all, but you can keep an eye out for my picks. It's always a great way to support the channel. And now that we're in the home stretch of the NBA season, they're going to be running even more boosts and promos for the NBA picks. That's Underdog. The link will be in the description. Andre Iguodala, well-deserved, gets his jersey raised to the rafters yesterday. And, since I've been doing this, every now and then people will ask, hey, Alk, who do you play like? Give me a comp, like when you're in your old man rec leagues or just pick up ball. And I've always said, man, I try to play like Andre. Like a versatile player who has a well-rounded skill set enough to just do what the team needs, right? Like a little of this, a little of that, and just take pride in all aspects of the game, trying to be a complete basketball player, but most importantly, a winner. And Andre, that's what he is, you know, and it was easier for Andre to become the Swiss Army knife because he was so well rounded in all the aspects of basketball, except maybe free throws, right? Andre, the free throws could have been better, brother. But a lot of guys, there's so many talented guys in the NBA that either can only play one way or only are willing to play the way they want, right? And Andre is one of the greatest examples of sacrifice, one of the greatest six men. And he and Ginobili, it's almost cheating because it's like they almost weren't six men, but he and Ginobili set the gold standard for sacrificing to win. And I think that it was super important for the casual NBA fan and for the record books to understand there was no dynasty without Andre. Like, we would have been really good, might have got one, but that's how important he was to all of this. So shout out to Andre, well-deserved, one of my favorite players of this era. And yeah. Anyway, we've got one more home game. Charlotte, they're sneaky, man. They've been on a long West Coast road trip. They caught the Lakers lacking. They brought Denver all the way to the end, but they're at the end of this road trip. So if we can start with energy and get on top of them early, they might just run out of gas, roll over, and want to get back home, right? You pick up that win, and then we head out east where we're going to see Philly and some teams, Orlando, some struggling teams. All the more reason to keep the momentum rolling, where you look at these standings, we're climbing rapidly, man. Like, I know that initially the talk was like, hey, we just got to get out of the play-in. Let's see where the talk is after this road trip and with Kuminga back. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.